If you've ever thought about getting a Shih Tzu because of their tiny size, round, sparkling eyes, and silky doll-like fur, take a moment to listen because what you imagine is only half the story. A Shih Tzu isn't just an adorable dog. It's a small creature with a personality larger than life itself. Behind that angelic little face hides a stubborn spirit, a fiercely attached heart, and a habit of invading every inch of space you once called your own. Many people fall in love with the cuteness, but only those who truly live with a Shih Tzu understand that this love comes with 1,000 tiny challenges, each one small but powerful enough to make your whole world revolve around a creature that weighs less than 5 kilos. I still remember the very first day Bella, my little Shih Tzu, stepped into my home. Barely taller than my hand. Yet she moved with the confidence of a queen inspecting her new palace. I thought it was adorable. I had no idea that moment marked the end of me and the beginning of us. From the couch to the bed, from the desk to the bathroom, every corner slowly became her territory. Shih Tzus don't ask for permission. They simply look at you once, leap onto your lap, and settle down as if they've belonged there forever. And it's impossible to push them away, because just when you think you should, that round, pleading gaze melts your heart and makes you stay still. People often say that Shih Tzus are royal dogs, and it's true. Living with one makes you realize that you've somehow become a devoted servant in your own house. You eat. They stare. You sleep. They crawl in. You go to the bathroom. They're outside scratching the door, asking silently, "Did you forget about me?" Privacy disappears. Peace becomes rare. And yet, strangely, when you're tired or lonely, that same little creature curls up against you, breathes softly, and brings a warmth that quiets your heart in a way no human ever could. A Shih Tzu doesn't speak, but somehow, they always know how to make you feel heard. Soon, and you find yourself caught between two emotions, deep love and mild madness. You laugh when they dash across the room, then sigh at the tufts of fur covering your sofa. You melt when they rest their head on your lap, but despair when you can't leave the house for even a few hours. A Shih Tzu is like a child who never grows up, clingy, needy, demanding, but irresistibly sweet. They teach you that love isn't always peaceful. Sometimes it's messy, noisy, and exhausting, yet still completely worth it. So, if you're thinking of welcoming a Shih Tzu into your life, remember, you're not just bringing home a pet, but a tiny soul that will weave itself into every part of your day. Sweet, stubborn, chaotic, and endlessly loyal. And if you think you're ready for that, then stay with me, because in the next part, you'll see exactly what it means to live with a Shih Tzu, and why, from that moment on, nothing in your home will ever truly belong to you again. Personal space. Forget it. That concept doesn't exist in the Shih Tzu universe. From the moment you bring one home, you'll realize that privacy becomes a memory, a luxury you once had, but will never truly experience again. Whether you're watching a movie, reading a book, or trying to work on your laptop, your Shih Tzu will find a way always to insert themselves right into the center of whatever you're doing. They'll climb onto your lap with the confidence of a king claiming his throne, curl up like a little ball of warmth, and sigh contentedly, as if your body was designed solely for their comfort. And here's the thing they don't ask. They just do it. Because in their mind, you belong to them. Completely. I can't even count how many times Bella has turned my quiet evenings into her cuddle sessions. I'll be lying on the couch, just trying to enjoy a movie. And before I know it, There's a soft weight pressing against my chest. She'll rest her head under my chin, her warm breath brushing against my neck. And suddenly, I'm no longer watching the film, I'm watching her. Her fur smells faintly of baby shampoo. Her little paws twitch every now and then. And I know I should move her. But I can't. Because the truth is, there's something disarmingly sweet about that kind of closeness. The way a Shih Tzu loves without hesitation, without distance, without boundaries. But that same affection that melts your heart can also test your patience. Imagine trying to answer emails while a small, fluffy creature keeps pawing at your keyboard. Or worse, lying directly across it. Bella doesn't care about deadlines or focus. To her, my lap is her rightful place. And any attention I give to something else is a betrayal. Sometimes I'll gently move her aside, only for her to circle back, jump up again, and stare at me with those huge, glassy eyes that say, "How could you?" And honestly, after that look, how could I? Then there are the nights when I just want to stretch out and get some sleep. But Bella has other plans. She'll crawl right up to my pillow, press her little body against my cheek, and refuse to move. If I shift, she shifts. If I roll over, she follows. Once, I tried to set up a cozy dog bed just beside mine, complete with a blanket and her favorite toy. She looked at it, sniffed it once, then climbed back onto my bed like a tiny queen, reclaiming her throne. Her message was clear: separation is not an option. And yet, as much as I joke about losing my space, I have to admit that it's also what makes her so special. Shih Tzus love with every fiber of their being. They don't love halfway. They crave closeness because that's how they feel safe. And in their eyes, you're not just their owner. You're their whole world. It's an intense kind of bond, one that fills every empty corner of your day and every quiet moment of your night. So yes, your personal space will vanish. Your couch, your bed, even your thoughts will no longer be entirely your own. But in exchange, you'll gain something else, an unbreakable companionship, a heartbeat that follows yours, and the comforting realization that you will never truly be alone again. Overnight trips, not so simple anymore. Once a Shih Tzu becomes part of your life, spontaneity quietly packs its bags and leaves the house. Gone are the days when you could say, "Sure, I'll stay over after a fun night out with friends," or decide on a whim to take a last-minute weekend getaway. Because now, before every plan, before every invitation, a small, anxious thought always creeps in. Who's going to look after my dog? You might think, oh, I'll just leave them for one night. But if you've ever tried, you'll know it doesn't quite work that way. Shih Tzus aren't the kind of dogs that enjoy solitude. They are creatures of closeness, built from the soft fabric of attachment. When left alone too long, they don't just miss you, they unravel. They sit by the door, waiting for footsteps that never come. Or curl up on your bed, sniffing the sheets that still smell like you. Sometimes, if you're unlucky, they'll express that heartbreak in shredded tissues, overturned pillows, or a puddle on the floor that says, "I was scared. Where were you?" So, you start adjusting. When friends invite you to spend the night, you politely decline. When your family plans a road trip, you're the one checking if the hotel allows dogs, and even if it does, you'll spend hours packing your Shih Tzu's things: food, water, treats, blanket, leash, toys, and maybe their little pillow because heaven forbid they sleep without their favorite scent nearby. What was once a carefree adventure now feels like a military operation, complete with logistics, backup plans, and a hint of guilt for every minute you're away. I've tried both approaches. Once, I brought Bella along to a friend's house for the weekend. Everyone adored her at first, the tiny fluff ball wagging her tail and exploring every corner. But as night fell, and conversations stretched late into the evening, Bella decided that being ignored was unacceptable. She barked, whimpered, and eventually climbed onto my lap as if to remind everyone, "This human is mine." Needless to say, no one got much sleep that night. Another time, I left her with a sitter. I thought I'd finally get some peace of mind until the sitter texted me at midnight saying Bella refused to eat and kept staring at the door. I spent the rest of the trip refreshing my phone, counting the hours until I could come home. And that's the thing about Shih Tzus, they don't just follow you physically, they stay with you mentally. Even when you're away, a part of you stays home with them. You imagine them waiting. You feel their absence like a tug at your heart. And no matter how good the party or how beautiful the scenery, there's always that quiet whisper in the back of your mind. Is she okay right now? So yes, owning a Shih Tzu means giving up a little freedom. Your nights out become shorter. Your weekends less spontaneous. And your suitcase always a little fuller. But when you finally come home and see that tiny creature wagging her tail, like you're the best thing that's ever happened to her, you realize that maybe, just maybe, staying in was always the better choice. Spontaneous trips, those days are long gone. There was a time when I could just grab my backpack, hop in the car, and drive off into the unknown for a few days, chasing sunrises and letting the road decide where I'd sleep that night. But that kind of freedom vanished the day Bella came into my life. Now, every journey begins, not with excitement, but with calculation. Can she come with me? How long will I be away? Will the hotel allow dogs? Will she get carsick again? It's no longer a simple matter of going. It's a delicate operation that requires planning, backup, and emotional stamina. Bringing Bella along sounds romantic at first. Imagine road trips with her little face peeking out the window, fur blowing in the wind, tongue out, happy as ever. And yes, for the first few minutes, it is exactly that. But then reality hits. Within half an hour, she's restless, shifting positions, climbing from the passenger seat to my lap, demanding attention while I'm trying to keep my eyes on the road. At rest, stops. She refuses to pee because the ground is too strange. At restaurants, I have to find outdoor seating, where she insists on sitting on my lap instead of the floor. Every destination becomes less about where I want to go, and more about where she can be comfortable. And if I dare to leave her behind, that's an even bigger test of heart. I've tried it once or twice, left her with a trusted friend who adores dogs, who promised to feed her, walk her, cuddle her. For the first few hours, I convinced myself it would be fine. But by nightfall, I found myself checking my phone every 10 minutes, staring at the last photo the sitter sent, zooming in just to see her eyes. My brain refused to rest until I knew she was okay. And when I came home, she looked at me in that heartbreaking way that said, "I waited. I didn't understand why you left." That look alone was enough to kill any thought of another solo trip. Even short getaways have changed. A casual weekend by the sea now requires dog-friendly hotels, travel crates, portable bowls, and a checklist longer than a camping expedition. Packing for Bella takes longer than packing for myself. And every time I think I've finally got everything, I'll hear that tiny sneeze from the back seat, a reminder that she's there, fragile and dependent, and that I'm completely responsible for her comfort, her safety, her happiness. Some days, I miss the freedom I used to have, the ability to disappear for a few days, to chase silence or adventure, without worrying about feeding schedules or car sickness. But then I remember how empty those hotel rooms felt, how quiet the nights were, without a heartbeat curled beside me. Maybe it's true that I lost a little freedom when Bella came into my life, but what I gained was something else: an anchor, a reason to stay, a reason to come home. And maybe that's not such a bad trade after all.
That's a relief to hear.
Thank you.
You'll start talking to your dog a lot more than you'd ever expect.
Appreciate that.
At first,
Buddy.
it's innocent. A casual good morning. Sweetheart. As you stumble into the kitchen, half asleep, maybe a who's a good girl, after she finishes her breakfast. But before you realize it, you've developed a full-blown habit of daily conversation, a running dialogue that never really ends. You'll find yourself chatting with your Shih Tzu about everything: what you should have for dinner, whether the weather feels weird today, or why the neighbor's cat keeps giving you that judgmental stare. It starts as something playful, but soon it becomes as natural as breathing. Bella, for instance, has become my silent therapist, my roommate, and my favorite audience all in one. When I come home from a long day, she's the first to greet me at the door, tail wagging like a tiny metronome, keeping rhythm with my heartbeat. I'll start telling her about my day, how exhausting the meeting was, how I almost lost my patience in traffic, or how I forgot my umbrella again. She'll tilt her head slightly, those dark round eyes locked on me with such intensity that I swear she's processing every word. She doesn't interrupt. She doesn't judge. She just listens, really listens. And in a world where people often wait for their turn to speak, rather than truly hear, that kind of quiet attention feels priceless. There's something deeply comforting about it. The way she blinks slowly, the way her ears twitch when I say her name, the way her little body leans closer. When my tone softens, it feels like a conversation, even without words. Sometimes, when I'm frustrated or lonely, I'll find myself asking her the most ridiculous things. Do you think I made the right decision today? Should I call them back? Or during dinner, when she's sitting there giving me that intense stare, you really think you deserve this piece of chicken? Don't you, of course. She can't answer, but her eyes say everything: unconditional acceptance, unwavering loyalty, and the kind of empathy that doesn't need language. The funniest part is how this habit seeps into your everyday routine. Without you noticing, you'll catch yourself talking to them while doing chores, while cooking, even while brushing your teeth. You'll use nicknames you didn't know you had in you: pumpkin, little gremlin, furry boss. And then one day, you'll have guests over, and mid-sentence, you'll realize you're explaining your dog's opinion on the new couch. There's no turning back after that. You've officially become that person. But here's the thing. It doesn't feel crazy. It feels right. Because somewhere along the way, your Shih Tzu stops being a dog and becomes something much more: a companion who shares your silence, your laughter, and all the in-between moments that make up your life. They don't talk, yet somehow they say enough. And maybe that's why we talk to them so much, because in their stillness, we find the kind of understanding words can never quite reach. So yes, you'll talk to your dog every day, about everything, and no matter how strange it might look from the outside, for you, it'll feel like the most natural conversation in the world. Your friendships change too. It happens quietly, almost without you noticing at first. When you bring a Shih Tzu into your life, it's not just your daily routine that shifts. Your social circle subtly rearranges itself around this new furry little gravity. Some friends fall away, some draw closer, and new ones appear out of nowhere, united by nothing more than shared dog hair on their clothes and the familiar jingle of a leash. In the early days, everyone wants to meet Bella. They show up with treats, eager to cuddle her, take photos, and post stories with captions like, "Look at this tiny cloud. My living room fills with laughter." Camera clicks, and the kind of warmth that only a happy dog can bring. Bella laps it up, of course wagging her tail like she's hosting her own fan meet and greet. But as weeks turn into months, I notice a shift. The friends who aren't into dogs start visiting less. They make polite excuses, like being too busy, or mention their allergies just a little too often. Some even joke, "You talk more about your dog than you do about people." And maybe they're right. But what they don't understand is that this little creature has become my world, and talking about her feels as natural as talking about my day. Still, I can't really blame them. A Shih Tzu doesn't care if your friends are allergic, or afraid, or simply not dog people. When guests arrive, Bella insists on being part of the welcome committee, sniffing, circling, and eventually plopping herself right in the middle of the conversation. I've lost count of how many times she's climbed into someone's lap uninvited, her face inches away from theirs, waiting for approval. Some people melt instantly, giggling as they pet her. Others stiffen, smile awkwardly, and spend the rest of the evening glancing nervously at their sleeves. Slowly, your gatherings start to filter themselves. Those who come often are the ones who truly don't mind a little fur on their clothes and a wet nose in their face. But as the old social rhythms fade, something unexpected happens. New connections bloom. You start chatting with other dog owners at the park, just small talk at first, about leashes, grooming, or favorite treats. But soon, you realize these are people who get it. They understand why you canceled a weekend trip because you couldn't find a sitter, why you spend more on dog shampoo than on your own, and why you sometimes leave the TV on so your Shih Tzu doesn't feel alone. Before long, these strangers become friends, the kind you text when your dog won't eat, or when they do something hilarious at 2 in the morning. And there's something beautiful about that kind of bond. It's simple, honest, built not on status or convenience, but on shared affection for these little, demanding creatures who rule our homes and our hearts. Your old world may shrink a little, but your new one feels warmer, softer, somehow more genuine. In the end, Bella didn't just change my home, she changed the company I keep. She filtered my circle without even trying, leaving behind the people who love dogs, love, laughter, and maybe even love a little chaos. And honestly, I wouldn't have it any other way. The bathroom is no longer private territory. If you ever thought that at least this one small corner of your home would remain sacred, a place for solitude, silence, and personal reflection, then I'm sorry to tell you, those days are gone. With a Shih Tzu in the house, even the bathroom becomes a shared experience. They simply don't understand why you'd want to be alone. Not even for a few minutes. The moment you close the door, you'll hear the soft patter of paws approaching, followed by scratching, a little whimper, and that inevitable sound of a tiny body settling against the door, as if standing guard against the terrible loneliness of being apart from you for 60 whole seconds. Bella, for example, has made it her mission to ensure that no closed door ever separates us. If I forget to lock it, she'll nudge it open with surprising determination, her nose leading the way, her eyes full of pure devotion or maybe indignation. She'll step inside, look at me like, "What are you doing here without me?" and then sit down at my feet as if this is the most natural thing in the world. I'll try to explain. "Bella, sweetie, some things are private." But she doesn't buy it. In her mind, there is no such thing as private, only together. Even when I try to outsmart her by sneaking quietly into the bathroom, somehow she always knows. Maybe it's the sound of the door, or the faintest change in the air. But within moments, she's there. I'll see her shadow appear under the door crack, her little paw tapping at the bottom, followed by a soft whine that grows louder if I take too long. It's equal parts funny and guilt-inducing, because while I crave just a few peaceful minutes, there's a part of me that feels bad for making her wait outside. So sometimes, I give in. I open the door, and she trots in triumphantly, tail wagging as if she's just rescued me from a great danger. Of course, this together time doesn't stop there. She'll sit beside the bathtub while I shower, staring through the steam with patient eyes. If I'm brushing my teeth, she'll stand on her hind legs, front paws resting on my leg, wanting to see what I'm doing. And when I finally kneel to dry my hair, she'll take that as her cue to climb onto my lap, making herself comfortable while I juggle a towel and a blow dryer. It's absurd, chaotic, and somehow endearing. Living with a Shih Tzu means surrendering even your smallest moments of solitude. But maybe that's part of their magic. They blur the lines between mine and ours, between personal space and shared love. They remind you, in their stubborn, affectionate way, that to them, you are not just a companion, you are their world. So yes, me time becomes we time. And while it might feel overwhelming at first, one day, you'll catch yourself smiling at the sound of those tiny paws outside the door, realizing that even your loneliest moments have quietly been replaced with love. So, that's what life with a Shih Tzu truly looks like. Equal parts, chaos and comfort, laughter and exhaustion, endless fur and unconditional love. They take over your couch, your schedule, your sleep, and even your bathroom breaks. Yet somehow, you wouldn't trade a single moment of it. Because behind every little tantrum, every stubborn stare, and every paw on your lap, there's a love so pure, it fills the quiet spaces of your life in a way nothing else ever could. Living with a Shih Tzu means giving up a bit of freedom, but gaining something far greater, a tiny heartbeat that follows you from room to room, a warmth that never leaves your side, and a companion who loves you, not for what you do, but simply for being there. They don't care about your bad days, your messy hair, or your unwashed dishes. They care only that you exist, and that's enough. So, yes, your home will never be the same again. It'll be louder, messier, furrier, and infinitely more alive. You'll lose your privacy, your spontaneity, and maybe a few socks, but you'll gain laughter, loyalty, and a bond that words can barely describe. And one day, when you catch that little face looking up at you with absolute trust, you'll realize that life before them was quiet, but maybe a little too quiet. If you've ever loved a Shih Tzu, you already know that they don't just live with you, they live in you. They change the way you love, the way you see the world, and the way you define happiness. And honestly, that's the best kind of downside there is. Tell me in the comments, how has your Shih Tzu changed your life? And if you smiled at least once while watching this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join our little numbered dog talk family, where every story begins and ends with a wagging tail.